What the fuck is up, people of Earth? It's Digi and May with a brand new edition of Finish or Fail. So, getting back to the roots of Finish or Fail, I've talked about this a little bit, but the original Finish or Fail was because of the fact that I never finish anything.
Nope.
And this has origins going back to the fact that when I first started anime, it was only on TV or DVD. Never had the money to buy full DVD sets, so me and my cousin would just buy whatever. I have tons of unfinished animes dating back to like 2001, you know? And even in 07 or 08, whenever I started Finish or Fail, I had well over 100 things on my on-hold list. I had cut it down to 100, and the idea was that that 100 would be the Finish or Fail guys. And I was just doing them one at a time. I think I did like 14 on the old blog. But as time went and I was doing these, new shows are always coming out. I'm always putting shit on hold. So it got out of hand again.
It's tough to limit yourself to 100 things on hold.
It is, and over time, I've occasionally, routinely gone through my on hold list and just dropped stuff just to have less on my on hold list. Just to be like, oh, I probably won't finish this. I probably won't get around to this. And, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a mal. You could change it anytime. It doesn't matter. But, just for the sake of my consciousness, to have fewer things on the on hold list. And then I go back into the dropped list and I dig things out every so often. So that was the original purpose of Finish or Fail. I brought it back as a video series because I was trying to finish all the 2016 shows, and I just thought that would be an easy title to use for a video series about me either finishing or failing every show that came out in 2016. Which all led up to, of course, the big 2016 list. And then we did the same thing last year. We finished or failed. Well, this year, really. It was mostly January, February.
We did a little bit of 2017, but...
Yeah.
We split it into the dark side, light side, but it was too much.
That shit. Yeah, we've tried a lot of different things. And, Finish or Fail, it's a lot of fun to do. It's a lot of fun to just, go down a list and do show after show after show. And it's kind of, the most fun way for me to watch anime. Because I like to watch anime as a project. It's way easier for me to watch a show if it's towards some greater end. If it's either oh, I have to watch everything this guy did so I can make a video about it, or I'm going to watch all the shows by this studio, all the shows in this, series, whatever. But I also like to constantly see new things and shit that I haven't already experienced yet. So Finish or Fail is a great way to just sample fuckloads of shit. And, a lot of the times the things that end up being my favorite shows are things I didn't see coming. Things I never thought about at all. Just saw it there and clicked on it. So we thought about going back and doing 2017 and doing previous years. But, as soon as the year's over, it's irrelevant. There's no real reason to do 2017 over, say, 1990, Mm-hmm. And, in terms of views, in terms of relevance to the audience, the only reason would be that it would be more complete to have 2016, 2017, 2018. But I also did 2014 and not 2015, and I never got around to finishing that year. So, there's so many gaps, so many holes. I would love to do best of the year list for every year one day. But, it's it's harder for me to look at all that and go oh, I'm going to pick a year and we're going to do all of it. And, that's justifiable. Doesn't feel that way. However, if it was a project to try to watch only shows that I am sincerely interested in, like the original Finish or Fail, because there's all shows that were on hold. It's shows that I think I want to see. But, what if we combined that with, the plan to watch list and just do, all the shows that I either haven't seen any of or haven't finished or want to rewatch. Just put basically anything I want to watch into Finish or Fail and use that as a vehicle to just watch everything. So I came up with...
What did you bring for us today? What is this?
I have this list that is anime I haven't seen but want to. And I got all of the letter A on this piece of paper. So it's every anime that starts with the letter A that either I haven't seen any of and want to because it
Were
looks
there
interesting
any
or
numbers
sounds
or
interesting.
symbols?
Yeah, there's some numbers and symbols in there, but just one in this category. So like yeah, it's all shows that I either haven't seen and want to, or I also added in shows that I've seen all of and want to rewatch because it's been too long. Don't know enough about them. You haven't seen them. Shows that I had on hold, or that I dropped. I have some shows that I marked as dropped in here, but was like, I'm gonna give that a second shot just to be sure, just to be clear with myself. So we got 52 shows in the letter A. Well, 51 because initially I was writing down porn as well, but then I figured one day I want to watch every anime porn that exists.
Me too.
So well that'll be a different project for a different time. But yeah, this is a way to, by the time, if we make it through the whole alphabet, there will be nothing left.
No.
We will have seen every anime I'm interested in. The question is...
what about when we get to G and it's just all Gundam?
Well, it would be probably K, because it would be Kido Senshi Gundam.
Are we just going to watch all of Gundam?
I mean, they'll all be on the list. We're hitting a randomizer like we used to do in the old days. So, I've numbered all the options. We've got 52, although the number 2 will be crossed out.
I'm scared.
Let's point the camera at the screen.
Oh boy.
Oh, I have to zoom in.
You gotta fucking
I used to
zoom
do
in.
this at I used to do this at my desk chair.
You could have walked up there.
Nah, dog. All right.
Could they even see the numbers?
We'll find out. Generate. Results is... They can't. It's 46! I'm not going all the way up there. What is 46?
Drum roll, please.
Oh god, we're zooming way the fuck in. Zoom! Unzoom! How do I shot unzoom? Number 47 is...
What is it?
47. It's one of the dropped shows. A-Channel. A-Channel. This was the show that the team that made Saki went and made their own studio and did this show first. So, like, the people who made Saki at Gonzo, they left, formed Studio Gokumi, and they made this, and eventually they got back to Saki. It's a very cute four girls show, you know. I watched 3 episodes, I think, liked it, eventually just marked it dropped because I didn't think I'd ever get back to it. So that's why I put it on the list. Because I was like, I didn't really drop this show. I just kind of eventually marked it dropped because no one talks about it. So, let's give it a go. Holy shit, we did it. We watched all of A-Channel. And, it was alright. What do you think about A-Channel?
Had a really good start. I thought it was really cute.
It was funny because I was like, after episode 1, like, well, we can drop that. And you were like, I kind of like it.
You know.
So we watched the whole thing.
There's a lot of interesting shots in the first episode. And I kind of was expecting it
more visual.
Yeah, to be more visually interesting. And it did not deliver. It kind of looked jank most of the way through, which was disappointing, but
fine. It wasn't offensive.
Yeah, I mean, the
looked better than most modern anime
themselves are kind of like lollipop shaped. They
not that it's not modern.
Yeah, they're cute, but a little janky.
I would say this show. Have you ever heard of the Manabi line?
Yes.
In DVD sale or Blu-ray sales,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna invent the A-Channel bar. Which is that A-Channel represents to me the absolute minimum that a show can do to be watchable from start to finish. I would give it a 5.5. Like, right there, like, if it was a 5.4, wouldn't be finishable. But, like, it's because, so this is a cute girl, it's a 4 girls show, 4 girls high school show, from one of the worst directors in anime history, Manabu Ono.
Yep.
Currently,
thank him for SAO,
Alicization,
and
Asterisk War, Dragonauts, just all these really terrible action shows, but when he does cute girls shows, like he did Saki, which I'm a fan of, and we've watched a couple episodes of, and he did this, and those are both fine. Like, this show, I don't think it doesn't have any, like, glaring problems. It's just that it's very generic and inane.
Yeah.
And like...
the insert songs are...
Oh, okay, never mind.
Shit.
I changed my mind.
Yeah,
There's a problem.
yeah.
So, God, these sunglasses are, like, weirdly tight on my head.
I know, they are kind of smaller. You have to, like, stretch them out a little bit.
Yeah. But, like, with A-Channel, it's like... So it's a 4-girls high school show. Pretty standard issue. There's a lot of shows like this. But this one came... I want to say that this show is very indicative of the effect of K-On! Because it came out like a year after K-On! Season 2. It was from a brand new studio, Gokumi, who had just broken away from Gonzo. It was basically the team that made Saki, went off to make their own studio, which eventually would continue Saki. But the first show they did was A-Channel, and I definitely think this was their attempt to sort of make a name for themselves as a studio, and, like, basically put out, like, a sure thing with a lot of marketing potential behind it. Because it's a 4-girls show,
Yeah.
The character design's really cute, they didn't take any major risks, but... They put a fucking insert song in every single episode.
And there's an episode where they go to the karaoke booth, and
there's
every
several.
character has their own song.
So, like, clearly they were trying to sell a bunch of music. And this was a popular I mean, it still is a popular tactic, but, like, eventually they just started making idol shows.
Yeah, they can mask it as an idol show,
Yeah.
and they do more with the montages in idol shows.
Well, and there's better reasons to have better music, you know, like, and better reasons for each character to have their own songs, and, like, because back in the 2000s, and, I mean, maybe this still happens, I don't keep up as much with, like, sale goods in Japan, but, like, it used to be that most shows that had, like, you know, that had a lot of character goods in general would sell individual, like, singles for every single character. Like, in Haruhi, there's, like, 9 or 10 character singles, and then also, like, the insert songs have their own single releases and all that. And you make a fuckload of money that way, because Japanese CDs are way more expensive than American CDs. Like, baseline... Like, a full-length CD is, like, baseline $30 in Japan. Or the Japanese equivalent of $30. So, whereas here it's, like, 15 for comparison to people who are... Or even 12 if it's, like, a major pop hit. They'll make it as cheap as possible so more people will buy it. So, like, you know, I understand why they put so much music in the show. But every time an insert song plays, the show grinds to a fucking halt. Because they just play it, like, uninterrupted, nobody talking over it, with, like, montages, usually of just
panning
stills.
images. Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Very underwhelming.
And the songs are terrible. Like, they all sound like they were just made in, a, like, you know, a movie maker program.
And the lyrics are
music maker program.
Not special.
No, it's generic,
really
trite
generic,
lyrics.
Yeah.
And, you know, the 4 main characters, because every 4-girls show stands on the strength of how good are the 4 main characters, and how good is their chemistry, how much do you like them. And in this show, they are just completely unremarkable, with maybe the exception of Toru, the main-ish one. But, like, again, it's not even that they're bad, because I've seen shows like this with bad characters or just bad chemistry between the characters where the dialogue was insufferable, where none of the jokes were funny. This isn't like that. Some of the jokes are funny. There's good moments. The characters don't have bad chemistry or no chemistry. Like, they hang out together and you get the sense that they're friends and that they're just not interesting is the problem.
Not really.
Like, it's kind of a pendulum there, you know, they're everything about the show is right in the middle. It's like, the characters aren't... If I were to go watch K-On!, for instance, like, all of the characters, even though they have, like, their template personalities, they are very distinctive in the way that they are portrayed in that show. And the nuance added by the incredible vocal performances, the great animation, just a tighter script with better humor, you know, and because the show is a lot longer, you eventually spend a lot of time with those characters, you see them go through things together, and they have a really emotional arc, and that's what makes the show great. The show doesn't have any of that. It's just a 12-episode show about 4 girls in high school doing all the same things that you've watched 4 girls in high school do countless times.
Yep.
Go to the summer festival, go to the beach, go to live in the snow for a little while. Like, it's all just very boilerplate. And sometimes they're making the same jokes every other show has made. Sometimes they make a new joke, but it's never like a crazy experimental new joke. It's just like,
It's very safe.
Here's a take on this that hasn't exactly been done before, but it's basically been done before.
Yeah.
The main character, Toru, she's this super shrimpy little angry lolly who's like obsessed with her best friend Rune, and very protective of her. Toru is very relatable for me. Just my mental self-image is of being like a tiny, brooding, angry, obsessive, what's the word I'm looking for? She's just really in love with the other girl, right?
Yeah, that's all she cares about.
Dune is pure airhead, pure dipshit, idiot character, Yui-esque, but
yeah, just
even more, like,
worse.
Unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
she's just a dipshit. That is her character.
That's all there
She's
really
an
is.
idiot. Not an idiot savant. Yui is an idiot savant. This girl's just an idiot.
She's lighthearted. She likes barbecue. She likes meat.
See, there's one of the things about the show that's kind of weird is that every once in a while they start to dip into giving the characters a little bit more, but they never go all the way.
Yeah, they never fully embrace the other side of the characters
or flesh it out. Like the girl Rune is in the first episode. There's this whole thing about her being like way into meat and
her ringtone is like sizzling bacon.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It doesn't get brought up a single time until like the last episode in a flashback, or second to last episode, where her mom is like trying to goad her into going to a better school and studying harder by like promising to give her Kobe beef for the rest of the year or something. So that's the only other time her like meat obsession comes up again. Yeah. So that it's like that could have been something, at the very least a running gag. Doesn't even really come up. You've got Mio Light, a girl who looks and acts exactly like Mio from K-On!, but is voiced by the voice actress who played Mugi from K-On! So it's Mugi doing an impression of Mio, which is interesting a little bit, because she sounds nothing like Mugi, which is, like, I can tell it's the same voice actress once I knew, wouldn't have guessed. Mm-hmm. So that's fun, in a way. But, yeah. I mean, she's literally just like Mio. Like,
she has big old titties that, in the first couple episodes, they do gags with, but,
yeah, there's a
kind of, like, bury it, and
gag.
they, like...
The first few episodes have a lot more personality. As the show goes, it
experiments
feels...
more and delves more into the characters, but it just, like, doesn't follow through with it at all.
It just kind of feels like the show runs out of ideas.
Yeah.
Like, in the first half, I would say... And even that, like, okay, the first episode is the most fun. It's got more, like, inventive animation, and this is one of those shows that's, like, more ambitious than it really could pull off, but that's kind of Moe in itself, you know? And I've made the argument a lot of the times that, like, part of the appeal of anime...
It works with the show.
Yeah, part of what Moe is inherent to the medium of anime, that you want to see it succeed, and you see the bigger idea.
You watch the first episode, you really get behind what the show is trying to present, and you want to root for it, even when the show is at its weaker moments.
I mean, like, from the very beginning, like, the first shots of the show do this, like, CG camera panning thing with Toru running through it.
It was badass.
And it looks
And she has the baseball bat.
Yeah, she has a baseball bat.
And they never do, and, like, the baseball bat shows up in, like, the next 3 episodes, but then they never do anything with it. Like, why does she have the bat? Like...
There's just, like, it feels like it gets off on the right foot, and, like, it, again, the first episode very much felt to me like brand new studio trying to make a statement. Hey, we don't have the most talented staff, but here's what we can do. We can give you an entertaining 4-girls show that we know you want. I love the character designs. I love they're all stick figures. Basically, like...
They got some cute outfits.
I'm a big fan of the, like, ludicrously skinny Moe girl look, you know? Like Gakko Gurashi, or this show. And The main girl, Toru, is voiced by Yuki Aoi. This is why I was excited about the show at the time, because I was like, oh, 4 girls show, Yuki Aoi, skinny, cute character designs, I'm all about it. But Yuki Aoi in the role is a little weird, because, like, she does a good job of playing this, like, very deadpan, like, kind of distant voice. But, it doesn't feel like the animation quite matches up with it. And, like, with anime, usually the animation is done before the voice acting. And I feel like Yuki Aoi's performance is not bad for this character, but you would have had to redesign her to match the performance just right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if we were talking about just the dialogue and just the idea of the character, it's a good performance. But sometimes it just felt like that voice shouldn't be coming out of that face. You know? I don't know if you ever got this impression.
Yeah, you kind of do get that vibe.
It was
even
just
for
a
some
little
of the
weird.
other characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where the animation and voice acting don't quite seem to be in sync, and it's usually the voice acting that I'm inclined to say that is better than the animation. That, like, I wish the animation was adapted to the voice acting.
I don't think the animation is that special.
No.
Uh,
It's pretty inconsistent,
yeah.
but not more so than what, like, it's above my bar. Again, this is the bar. This show is the bar. This is the minimum level of quality in every aspect of presentation. The music's pretty good. Same composer who did the Lucky Star OST. It sounds exactly like the Lucky Star OST. So, you know, there's that. Lucky Star is one of the greatest 4-girl shows of all time, in my opinion. I consider Lucky Star, K-On!, and Hidamari Sketch to be sort of the holy trinity of the 4 girls in high school genre. With Manabi Straight being a sort of
dark horse.
Yeah, like a dark horse of that group. But this show is, like, it's not the worst one I've seen by any stretch. Like, I watched all of a show called Wakaba Girl that was, the episodes were half length. And if not for that, I wouldn't have finished it. And that show I would put, like, just maybe below this one. Like, just a notch, because this one has more creativity in it. Even if it has more... There were episodes towards the end of this where I just was checking out. Like...
Me too.
Because, again, it really does feel like it runs out of ideas. It's like, the first few are more about character building and their relationships and introducing us to all the unique facets of them, showing them all hanging out together. And then it gets into the midsection, which is more like, you know, the typical scenario-driven holiday kind of episode stuff. Then you get to the last stretch, and it just feels like a random mishmash of... I mean, maybe this is more like what the manga is like, because I'm sure it's a 4-panel and everything, and, like, maybe they had put more original material into the earlier episodes, and then later it was just adapting strips. I have no idea. But, like, there's one episode where it starts off, like, they introduce that Halloween is coming to Japan, and they're like, oh yeah, Halloween's starting to pick up here in Japan, you know? And then, like... it kind of starts talking about other shit. And then, like, a few minutes later, like, they reprise, they talk about the Halloween a little bit more. Then there's, like, a 2-minute scene of Halloween. Only 2 characters are involved. Only one is dressed up. They just kind of go around the market a little bit. And then that's it. That's all the Halloween in the episode. The episode's about a bunch of other things. But it was just kind of like, what's going on in this one? Is this the Halloween episode?
Why bother starting the
They're making
episode
pancakes
about
now.
Halloween?
Like, it was just... It
went in a bunch of different directions, not really, like, couldn't really pick up the tone or, like, what
there
was
are times
supposed to
where
be
jokes
going
just
on.
totally fall flat, and then you're just like,
yeah.
oh, that scene. A lot of episodes end very abruptly, where, like, they have a last gag that's not that funny, and then the show's just bam, cut to credits, and you're like, oh, that was it? Okay. You know, that's where we're cutting off. Again, like, it's never offensive. The only thing I would consider offensive is the insert songs, which could get a little bit, like, Jesus Christ, like, groan-worthy. But, like, usually my mind would just kind of drift off, and then I'd come back once the song was over. The first episode, we were really confused because we thought it was the ED.
Yeah, and they kept showing more, and then they had another song play.
Yeah, the
and
actual
then they had
ED.
like a special ending, because I guess in some of the episodes there was like a special ending in the Blu-ray that
well,
was just...
it was just that, I think it was just we were confused, because the Blu-rays have, like, 2-minute specials for each episode, and so I think that when we watched episode 1, we thought that it was the 2-minute special added on, just like it is with Minaria Friends. But
yeah, because they had like an after credit sequence.
right.
And was that the special? Like, what is like?
No,
who
it was.
fucking
I think it
knows?
was just an insert song that we thought was the ED because it's just a bunch of still panning images
Yeah.
over music, and then there was more scenes
much-
and then an ED, and we were
much
like, oh, what
fucking
the hell's
music.
going on? Yeah, way too many insert songs that are all bad.
That add nothing to the show.
Even though the actual soundtrack is good, again, like the character designs, don't dislike the characters, but it's just not memorable. It's like, this would never be a 4-girl show I would go back to in a world full of them, overrun with this type of show. I've literally seen dozens of shows that are exactly the same as this, you know? And, like, it's not the worst, but it's, I mean, I probably wouldn't have finished it of my own accord if it weren't for the fact that you were kind of determined to make it all the way through. And I think even you were at some point like, well, I would drop this, but there's only 3 episodes left.
Yeah, it got like that.
Yeah.
I was curious more to see, like, because it's an early 4-girl show. It's kind of the start
It's
of
not,
a new
well,
studio.
I wouldn't say it's an early
No,
4-girl
but I
show,
mean,
but it was early in the
definitely...
boom. I guess the way I would characterize the eras of it is that, like, there's always been shows that were like this, and, like, Azumanga Daioh really kicked off, like, this as a genre that was, like, popular in the early 2000s. But, like, the idea of it specifically being 4 girls with these kinds of, like, archetypical personalities, I think became more of a thing in the late 2000s, where, like, it definitely, I mean, Azumanga Daioh, like, definitely retrofits into it, but it feels a little different. Whereas, like, Hidamari Sketch, Lucky Star, K-On!, and there was other shows like them coming out around the same time, but, like, it was really in the wake of K-On's incredible success that this became, like, every season there's 2 of these, you know, and, I think a lot of people blow it out of proportion, but, I mean, there are a lot. Like, it is a genre unto itself, and it's just that, it's not so much that there's so many shows, it's that they are so similar that they're almost exactly the same a lot of the time. Like, particularly, we didn't even talk about the 4th character,
Nagi?
Nagi. Nagi is the the snarky, like, kind of intelligent one. Yeah, sarcastic one.
I feel like she's more of, like, an insert character for female viewers who are kind of viewing the show.
I think it's just you. I think you just relate to the character.
I definitely think that's kind of what it is, but she is kind of, like, the one who is distant and is more, like, observing what's going on and will make jokes based on
well,
observing.
she's the straight man.
Yeah, but, I don't know.
I think, I mean, I've seen this exact character. Like, her and the Mio girl.
She's very, like, plain.
Really, everybody but Toru, these exact characters I've seen many times. Like, nothing is new about them. Yeah. Nothing is different.
I guess it's just because she's so unremarkable that I would consider her to be kind of, like, in a female show, she would be the main character. Like, if this was, like, a show oriented at women, like...
Yeah.
She would probably be the main character because she's so unremarkable and the problems that she goes through are so, like...
Well, she thinks she's fat, so she's trying to diet. I mean, what am I thinking of? There's another show that has a character just like her who is also trying to diet in the same way.
Oh, yeah, and that's the one joke they decided to, like, have reoccurring throughout the show, and it's, like, I mean, for any of the characters, pretty much. Like, it just becomes her personality as, like, oh, she's the one in a diet, and, like, you know...
Too little to go on.
It wasn't enough. It kind of fell flat.
It was always like I just always wanted more. Yeah. Even if it was just a little bit. I was always like, like, I see the seeds of a character who could be interesting. Like, Nagi in particular is, like, she seems like she would be the most fun, but they don't do anything.
She's with a bunch of idiots and she's the sarcastic one.
Right.
Like, how can she bounce off of this dynamic? But instead they just, like, go for the low-hanging fruit of, oh, I can't eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Like...
It's, you know, I guess what makes this show watchable is just that there's enough uniqueness in that, like, certain scenes... the way they either look are different, or the way they play out take a slightly different twist from what you might have been anticipating, or the characters just... some of the jokes are funny. Sometimes you laugh. I laughed a few times every episode.
The slapstick is good.
Yeah, so it's not like it's it's not like it's bad, but there's just nothing. There's no reason to watch A Channel over anything else in the genre. The only reason you should watch this show is if you really love this genre and like you're gonna watch it all. You know, if you're gonna watch every show that's even decent, that's a 4 girls show. This one, I made it all the way through. You know how I am. I'm a picky man.
Watchable.
Like it's watchable.
It's fun. It had a lot
the
of
last
fun
4
moments.
episodes were definitely like we started talking over it because we kind of got bored. But like,
oh my god, the ending scene.
There's a weird. Okay, they tried to do. This is the most like fell flat thing in the whole show, probably, other than the musical bits. Is that in the last episode, I think they were going for a fake out crazy ending. Cause like they're all the girls are all in a fast food place like a Moe's Burger
with the durian burger.
Yeah, which has a durian burger, which was the funniest thing in the whole goddamn show. That there's a durian burger, but they're at this place, and then the Rune girl, the blonde ditzy girl, like suddenly they're like asking her something like, "Why do you never get fat?" or something, and she says, "Because I'm an alien," right? And then Toru's like, oh, now she's gonna retort with this, but then the other two are like, oh, of course you're an alien, it all makes sense, and she's like, what's going on? And then, like, suddenly they are at a cliffside, and a alien saucer comes over the cliffside and starts beaming her up, and Toru's like, what is going on? And, like, we were both just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, are they trying to... Like, this is just a dream sequence, obviously, because they're no longer even in the Moe's Burger. Like, they are just suddenly at a cliffside, and she's being abducted by aliens. So, clearly this isn't happening, because that would make no sense. Why is this going on?
So much
is
time
this a joke? Is this...
bit?
It's not funny. And, like, how did we get here? Because if this is a dream, who fell asleep and why?
Well,
and then, of
they
course,
were showing her falling, like, nodding off at the restaurant.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
I hadn't caught that.
But even if you knew that and went into the scene, it's just like, why are we spending so much time on this bit?
Yeah.
Like, it's not taking us anywhere. It's not revealing anything interesting about the characters. It's not cute.
It was just, I think they thought that it would work as a fake out ending, but they didn't present it that way. They did nothing to make it feel real. It immediately felt like we had entered a dream sequence.
That was pretty much how the episode ended. Like, it was a really bad note to end a show on.
This scene happens, and then after that, it's like Rune carries Toru... Like, Toru wakes up, and she's on the friend's shoulders, who's carrying her to her apartment. And then Toru goes into the apartment. She has, like, a little moment where she's like, oh, man, all my friends are going to graduate eventually. That sucks. Which is, like, far off, because they're all second years and she's a first year. So she's, like, worried about graduation just because this is one of those shows and they have to pay lip service to the idea of Mono no Aware.
Even though there's tons of girls in her own grade that want to be friends with her. And,
right.
Like,
well, and then she just, like, she goes to go get a drink, and it turns out her friend is right outside the apartment, and she's like, oh, you never change, and that's how the show ends. It was, like, a very hackneyed attempt at a dramatic finale for no reason, because, like, graduation...
There was no...
It's no reason to be on her mind at all.
Yeah.
It's not introduced by anything. Like, in K-On!, there's the whole, second half of the or really the whole second season is, like, about this idea that the girls are going to graduate and leave their first year friend behind. But, like, there's an inciting incident into why she's thinking about it. It hangs in the background and looms there for a while. There's all this preparation for it. The whole fucking season builds up to it, and then it's this gigantic emotional payoff. And then in this show, they're just, for no reason, mentioning the fact that graduation will come eventually, just so that at the end of the show there can be a tiny...
An ending, because it's a fucking...
piece of poignance for this...
it's probably...
You don't gotta do that.
Yeah. It really feels like they had a great idea for a show with great characters, but no idea how to tell a story.
Yeah.
And when they got to the point where they had to start telling a story for whatever reason, because it's the end of the show and they think they need an ending...
I mean, it's kind of like that at the end of most of the episodes, which thankfully, like, the number one thing I can't stand in shows like this is when they go too dramatic at the end of each episode. The show thankfully doesn't get that dramatic. Like, episodes might end with, like, a little touch of, like, aww, but it's never, like, characters fucking crying and music swelling and all that shit, which I can't stand from shows like this. But, this has been 30 minutes to tell you that the show is mediocre, but I just wanted to explore, like, what what it is for something to be, like, right on the line. Yeah. What does it mean to be the minimum quality? So if you want to see what I consider to be, like, baseline, anything worse than this is unwatchable, anything better than this is, okay to good. This is it. This is the line. A-channel, the A-channel line. Let's make that a thing. For me, at least. Alright.